A few days ago, I had the opportunity to visit Lennox Acres, a fruit farm in Keithville, Louisiana. Louisiana is like much of the Southeast in that they have lots of heat, lots of humidity, lots of diseases and pests when it comes to fruit. But Steve Lenox at Lennox Acres grows his fruit without any insecticides and without any fungicides. How does this happen? Listen to his reasoning as we talk with him about one particular fruit growing at Lennox Acres. So good afternoon. I'm here with Steve from Lennox Acres, correct?
That is correct.
Lennox Acres in Keithville, Louisiana.
That is correct.
Okay. You're a farm. What kind of things do you grow?
We grow blueberries, blackberries, grapes, and we planted pecan trees a couple of years ago. So we have those crops right there.
A few different varieties.
Yes, and with the blueberries, we started the farm with the blueberries, and we have the three varieties. We have the Climax, Brightwells, and Tiff Blues, and we planted three different varieties just so that we could have sequential harvesting, so that when one plays out, the other one will come in.
So these,
Yes.
we're standing here in the middle of, what are these?
These are Cowart variety muscadine grape.
Muscadine.
Yes. These are muscadines. These are your southern grapes.
Okay, now, they're not regular bunch grapes, right?
No, they're not.
What is it in general that made you do these muscadines as opposed to the bunch grapes you'd buy in the store?
Well, first of all, the Concord grapes or the other grapes you find in the store don't grow well in this environment. So I've chosen species that are indigenous to the area, and which muscadine vines are indigenous to the area. So we do stick with something that's indigenous, and being indigenous is disease-free. I don't have any insect issues either. So being native, it's less maintenance for me.
Okay, so I know that for people who've tried to grow fruit in the Southeast, peaches, plums, even apples, you pretty much have to spray.
Yeah.
What do you find? You were saying you don't have diseases and pests with this?
No, I don't. It's really maintenance free. I don't spray anything on them. What you see going down through here, you see how healthy the leaves are. The only thing I do is maybe put a little fertilizer in the irrigation water. But other than that, as far as chemicals or pesticides or insecticides or herbicides, I don't use anything on the plants themselves. In fact, I don't like to use them because people like to sample the fruit as they pick.
Okay.
So I like to stay away from contaminating the fruit. I don't want people to have to wash the fruit before they eat it. I like for them to come out here if they want to sample it while they're picking. More power to them.
Okay, so you use a little bit on the ground, but as far as what's on the vines, nothing goes on the vines.
Nothing goes on the vines. No,
okay,
no,
wow. That's actually pretty impressive because I know you get I think weather.gov says over 51 inches of rain a year. So you have humidity and heat.
Yeah. There's a lot of water that comes through here during the year, but these vines tolerate it very well. They really do. Yes.
Now, if they're wild, or maybe not wild, but they're indigenous.
Yes.
Do they still have good production?
Yes.
You get a lot of fruit.
Very good production. A lot of times key to production is pruning. We prune during January and February during the winter months. Pruning is very important, which helps promote production. And if you don't prune it correctly, production will be stifled or be stagnant. But as far as temperatures and environment, we've grown enough grapes here to satisfy all our customers every year. Production has always been good out here. I don't think I've ever had a bad production year out here.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
In the Southeast here, a lot of people with peaches and plums and different crops have issues with frost. The frosts kill the blossoms.
That's right.
Have you ever had issues with these, and if so, to what extent?
No, frost is not an issue. The flowering of the grapes occurs at a time beyond the frost period down here in the south. So if there's flowers that are flowering, there's no need to worry about frost, because frost is back in April or at the latest is when the frost occurs, or the late frost anyways. But these I don't have any issues with these at all, with the frost or temperatures. Even when we had the 1 degree temperature here this past winter, it didn't affect these grapes at all, or the production either.
So some of the major issues we face here in the Southeast, we have pests, we have diseases, we have frosts. These don't really have issues with that.
No, not at all. Not being indigenous to the area. That's why we stick with the southern grape, the muscadine. It's tolerant to a lot of these varied problems with growing agriculture. I recommend muscadines and grow them domestically. Not many farms have them here. We belong to the Northwest Louisiana and Texas Fruit Growers Association. We are the only farm that has muscadines in the association. The other farms have peaches and plums and blueberries and strawberries, but a lot of those plants right there require a lot of more maintenance than what the southern grape does.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your time and for the information. Do you mind if I pick a few more?
Go right ahead, Weston.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Steve's farm is beautiful. While he does use some herbicide on the ground, he does not spray his plants with any fungicides or any insecticides, and yet his fruit crops are still gorgeous. How does this happen? You heard his reasoning. Steve plants indigenous crops. He focuses on those crops that do well in his region, and he finds really good success. He mentioned that wild muscadines are indigenous to this region. While I was driving back, I was looking and I found some along the side of the road. They were growing way up in a tree, and you can see them here. Not quite as large as the ones Steve had. The ones Steve had were cultivated. They were a variety known as cowart. This is the wild counterpart of the same thing. While the fruit might not be quite as good as the one Steve had, these give us an indication of what grows well in this region. And when we plant the cultivated counterpart, we are usually quite pleased with the result. Every part of the United States, and arguably of the world, has these crops that were created for that region. These crops are God's gift to those people because you're not fighting an uphill battle to the same extent that you are when you try to transplant non-native crops that are not adapted to a region and plant them there. So if you're considering planting your own orchard, your own vineyard, look around at what does well in your area. Particularly, are there native crops that have been cultivated or that can be adapted for your fruit growing purposes? Have a wonderful day.